Hello everyone, welcome to our bonus lecture on pattern matching in PostgreSQL. In this lecture, we will start by discussing different types of pattern matching, their syntax, and then we will discuss few examples of each type. At the end, we will also give you some tips on the usage of different methods. So let's start. We can define pattern matching as a method to identify the string complying to given format. Suppose we want to identify all the customer names that starts with letter A, or we want to identify the customer who has provided email ID instead of names, or to identify the customer who has not provided the domain names in their email ID. We can find all such customers using a pattern matching in PostgreSQL. This lecture will set your fundamentals of other advanced string functions as well, such as string splits, etc. So understand the concept thoroughly and you will be able to use other functions as well. In PostgreSQL, there are three methods to perform pattern matching. First is the like statement, second is the similar to statement, and third is using tilde operators with regular expressions, which are also known as regex expressions. We have already discussed like statements in our previous videos, and we will be only covering few examples to refresh our memory. Now moving on to similar to functions. These are the SQL standard functions, and the only reason PostgreSQL support it is to stay compliant with SQL standards. Internally, every similar to expression is rewritten in the form of regular expressions, and therefore there always be a regular expression to do a same job faster than the similar to statements. So there is no point in discussing similar to expressions, and you should also avoid it in your queries and try regular expression instead. Regular expression with tilde operators provide us a very powerful and flexible tool to perform pattern matching. And one thing to note here is that the wildcards of like statements and wildcards of regular expressions are different, and you should try to learn them separately. In this video, we will be mainly focusing on the regular expressions only. Another major difference between like statement and regular statement is like statements perform pattern matching on the whole string, whereas regular expressions perform pattern matching also on the part of string. So suppose if I want to find the customer name with just character A, like statement will find the customer name where there is only one character, which is A, whereas regular expression will find all the customers where the name contains a character A. So let's start with the like operator. There are two wildcards in like operator. First is the percentage symbol and second is the underscore symbol. Percentage symbols allow you to match any strings of any length, whereas underscore symbol allow you to match only a single character. Let's look at some examples. We have already discussed this in our previous videos, so in this video we will be only discussing it and not executing it in pgadmin. So suppose if we want to find all the customers where the first name starts with character J and O, we will write select star from customer table where first name is like J, O and then the percentage symbol. We are using percentage symbol because we don't know the length of the name and we want to identify all the customer names where the starting characters are J and O. Now suppose we want to find all the customers which contains letter O and D. So we will write select star from customer table where first name like percentage symbol, then OD, then percentage symbol. This means that first name should contain O and D adjacent to each other. Now in the next example, suppose I want customer name which will start with JAS and then there should be exactly one character, that can be anything, and then there should be character N. In that case, I will use underscore. Underscore will ensure only a single character replacement. We can also use not statements with the like statement, and in the next example you can see that we have used not like J% to identify all the customers whose names doesn't start with J. Now suppose I want to identify all the customers whose names start with A, B, C or E. For this, I have to write 4 different like statements with or statements in between. Now consider a more complicated case where I want my first name to start with A, B, C, D or E, and my second name should start with F or G. In this case, I have to write 5 into 2. So total 10 like statements with the combination of or and keywords. Now let's suppose I also want to constrain the length of my first name and last name. In this case, I first have to identify the separator between the first name and the last name, that is a position of space in my name. And then I have to write 2 more conditions on the length of first name and last name. So you can see with the increase in number of conditions and the complications, the number of like statement in SQL increases exponentially. In general, like statements provide quick and easy way to solve simple pattern matching problems. But for complex matching problem, we have to use the regex functions. You must be thinking, we will hardly encounter any such situation in our professional career. So let me tell you an example. Suppose if you want to filter out invalid email IDs from your data. So a valid email ID should contain a string of alphanumeric characters with either dot or underscore symbol. Then there should be a @ sign, and then again there should be a alphanumeric string. For example, Google or Yahoo. Then there should be a dot, and then after that dot there should be 2 to 8 alphabets such as .com or .in, etc. A valid email ID should contain all of these parts, and we will learn how to write this using regex expression.